Okay, here we go. Destron Decepticon, hello. Hope you're having a good Friday. Oop. Turn the volume down there. Last thing I want to hear is my own voice talking back at me. Alright, so we've got Shadow Striker here, and we're just going to finish her up and do a little background and see where we're at. I'm doing pretty well too, thank you very much. Happy that it's Friday. I'm taking a real weekend, so it's a good thing for me. All right, hello, Namish Name. All right, so what I'm going to do here is just go with the darken up the outline of Shadow Striker here, and then drop in a few more shadows. And like I said before, I'm going to have a similar background. Oh, sorry about that. Similar background to Striker, where she's kind of up against a wall. With some battle damage on the wall. Just feels like the right vibe for this picture, so that's what I'm gonna do. So thanks for hanging out and all that good stuff. So I've decided, I kind of started it last time, but our light source is coming from this direction. So the shadow is going to fall basically on her. The shadow she's casting, I should say, is going to fall on this side here. Got more Master Force happening in the background here. I think I am about one episode away from finishing Headmasters. I've been binging 2 episodes a day recently, and I haven't been like watching, you know, going to the menu. I just basically hit play all, and then each day it plays the next one. But I think I'm about to watch the last episode tomorrow, so looking forward to that. And I'll start on what we're listening to now. I'll start actually watching Master Force, getting to form an opinion on it. So, just talking more about what I'm doing here and why I'm doing it. I've got this thicker pen, the brush pen, so I can have kind of a variance in line weight as I go. I'm just basically trying to separate areas like this belt area. I want to call that out. Like, I use the same pen to do essentially all of these lines, but I want that kind of belt area to stand out a little bit here, so I'm just kind of thickening up some of these. Maybe where one might drop a shadow, I'm making it a little bit thicker. So that's my strategy there. And I'm actually going to end up having like this wall behind her pretty much completely in darkness, so I don't have to think too hard about how thick to make these lines in particular. Right now I'm just going to make them thick enough that the black marker won't bleed into the area that is actually part of her leg. Although this knee protector, whatever it might actually be, should be separated a bit from the upper leg area. So far, Shadow Striker has been a fun subject. Hopefully you all have enjoyed the stream, or the results, or whatever. Feel pretty good about it. I'd like to see her show up in some other media. Drop a little extra little spot down here. Proper generation style figure. Yeah, that would be good. I would be into that. So I want to kind of call out her digits in front of the weapon handle here. Hello, Dark Wizard. Masterpiece, huh? You're going all the way to Masterpiece? Well, that would be something, wouldn't it? Why mess around, right? Go straight to the masterpiece. None of this generation's business. Keep bumping my little camera holder thing there. Just want to separate this piece a little bit from the center piece. Yeah, you never know. Create a hashtag. I mean, it's essentially just, you know, acknowledging customer demand, right? The sound effect is familiar. Heard several sound effects in this today. I think the same sound company worked on the movie anime Fist of the North Star. So I keep hearing, or at least, you know, maybe whoever did the sound, I think it's all Toei animation, if I'm saying that right. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but some of the sounds are familiar. Let's get this side of the arm. Might just keep that on the thin side over there. You get these wheels slash air intakes slash whatever they are up here. I kind of just leave it thin near the top. Have it gradually get a little thicker on the side there. Thank you, Space Ninja, and hello, Handsome Ratch. That'll do. Hey there, Design OW. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. Thank you. We're trying. I think I want to just darken the border of the old Decepticon logo real quick. A lot of glare up here. I don't know if that's coming through in the video. And just hit the outline here. I'll drop in a few more shadows on her, and then we'll get the background. Excuse me. Tips for drawing vehicle modes. Well, you mean real, actual vehicles or made up vehicles? Just in general. Try to make it fun, I guess. dynamic angles, you know, coming right at the camera. You know, I guess it depends on what it is, really, but I don't know. I try to think of them less as like a tedious chore, which is what I kind of used to think of it as. I wouldn't consider drawing alt mode something fun initially, but you know, just kind of try to change the way I think about it. I've got a OC, as the kids might say. It's not like a Transformer OC, it's a regular, you know, comic character that I would imagine, you know, driving like the stereotypical muscle cars and stuff like that, and I'm actually looking forward to drawing them, which is not, you know, normally how I feel about drawing vehicles or anything kind of too complex. But yeah, I mean, I would study some images. Google's your friend, you know, like whatever vehicle you're drawing, try to find cool images of something like that. Find something that inspires you in terms of like, you know, a composition or just the look that you want to go for, and try to mimic that, not copy it, but, you know, just find what you like about it and mimic that a little bit. So right here I'm just kind of dropping in some shadows, again considering the light source being from the top right. So like even on the monocle here I'll hit a little spot here. Even hit a little bit beyond this protruding area on the helmet. Yeah, 3D models are good, yeah. Backgrounds, I would say try to make the background work for what you're doing. Like, try not to just think of it as a background. Try to think of it as another element that could make your composition interesting. It's funny that I'm saying that with what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of throwing a background in that I feel like works with the picture, but I didn't really think about it ahead of time. But, you know, if you're laying out an image, think about where the character is and what would look cool in terms of the layout of the entire picture, and try to make the background almost as much of a part of the picture as the actual subject that you're drawing. And as far as the technical piece of background, it's really nothing more than just practicing. Practicing what you're going to want to do. If you're going to draw cityscapes, practice drawing buildings, or, you know, alien landscapes. Just spend a lot of time doing studies of the type of things that you're going to want to do. So just kind of getting a familiarity with it for yourself. I think I'll just hit these spots here. The dark side of her hand here. She's pretty much a dark purple color. So, as I've said before in other streams, like the color, you know, the parts that I would shade in black completely would usually be a part that is darker in color. On-panel transformation sequences. I mean, it depends on the amount of space you have and what you're going for. You could do like you know, a long thin panel that has multiple stages of transformation. I've found that, you know, whenever I've had to do a transformation panel, it's been, you know, just alt mode, one in between, bot mode. I think when Cyclonus was fighting Starsaber in Lost Light 20, I did, I'm pretty sure I did that. He was in his jet mode, then halfway between, and then bot mode, just all in one long thin panel. So, I mean, I guess that would be good general advice. You could see Starsaber's head. Yeah, I kind of wanted to throw that in there. All right, I'm going to go for the just putting the dark wall behind her now. So I guess I'll kind of outline it in here. I've got, you know, essentially like a rough shape of the gun here. I don't want it to be too like perfect, but just roughly the shape of that. So then everything's going to be kind of like that same difference. So let's say part of her helmet here. I'll just go ahead and color that in with this, because it's a smallish space. So this action here, come down there, that'll all be darkened in, that'll be darkened in. This will essentially all be in black here. So, and yeah, down below, that'll be all darkened in also. So I'm just going to add a little, don't know if I'm off camera there, a little thin line here to separate the dark parts of her leg from the dark shadow behind her. So let's just fill this all in. Hard shadows, and I'm going to try to do some white pen in this space. This is a Copic 110 black. I have 100 and a 110, and I you know, can't always tell the difference between the two. This one seems a little lighter, but what I basically do is when one runs low, I pick up the other one, and when they both run low, I refill them both. Thank you, Handsome Ratch. I appreciate that. Now that I'm doing this shadow, I remembered why I didn't darken in that side of her hand earlier, because I want the lighter contrast against this over here, but that's okay. It'll still look just fine. Yep, we're bringing the drama. It's a high drama Friday. Thank you, Zombie Prowl, for hosting. Sometimes when you start dropping in these big blocks, big shapes, you got a white shape, dark shape. I'm like, wait, what was that? What was this? Oh, that's part of the wing thing she has back there. It's easy sometimes to forget what those things are. I'm going to kind of cut the angle down on that shoulder piece a little bit. I've got some white gel pens on the way to me, but the one I had just ran out, so this is actually going to be interesting, trying to fill in the white lines but down below. But we'll make it work. And use the tools you got. I don't know if anybody saw, I did a Megatron sketch card yesterday. I posted it. Posted it online, on Twitter, Instagram. I was thinking about streaming that, but I wound up just doing it because I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to turn out, or how exciting or interesting the taping process would be. But I think I can do some more of that type of stuff in future streams, if anyone's interested in seeing that. Yeah, the one with the rain. Let me go grab it real quick. Let's restart you too. I mean, you hear that song over and over again, as great as it is. Alright, so here we go. There's Megatron. I wound up taping off his head and taping off the smoke, and just kind of messing around with different dry brush effects and spattering white out and thin brush strokes of white out. So I thought it came out pretty well. It's a little bit of similar to what I did on the Grimlock image, if anybody was here for that one. Megatron looks cute. It's so adorable. What an adorable tyrant. Yeah, anyway, so that was kind of fun. I did, I have this low-tack painter's tape that I wanted to try out, which actually did not work very well. I was just looking for some alternative stuff to use. I don't know if anybody's done any like wall painting or whatever using frog tape, but it's the kind of light yellow, low-tack one, but that wound up like peeling off some of the artwork. But what I wound up using is this, which is what I tape the pieces to my drafting table with. Just removable tape. Put that around the border of the character and cut it with a blade, and then just kind of brush over it however I wanted to, and know that that's not going to get on the character. It's easy to remove. There's probably better tools for that, but that's what I had. That's what I used. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So we're going to put some strategically placed kind of laser blast marks on the wall. I was using the term bullet holes, but that's not really accurate. And if you weren't watching the Striker video, what I essentially do is just make a dark mark, somewhat circular. I'm off camera there. And then just kind of build out from there with sort of cracks and shadow wherever our light source is. Try to just follow some shadow there. But you know, you can kind of really just work really rough with something like this. Doesn't need to be super precise or accurate. Just to make it look like she's been, or this area is kind of a bit of a war-torn area. Just, you know, instead of like really straight, clean lines, you can probably see I'm kind of like breaking them up a little bit, making them a little jagged. Throw another one in over here. My thought process in adding stuff like this is kind of creating interest in the negative space. So we've occupied this space with a shadow, and now we've got this open space here. So, you know, just got a nice open space there, slightly open space here, maybe a little touch of damage down here. It doesn't need to be totally even, or, you know, it doesn't always need to work out like that, but just try to make something interesting out of the open space. So I need to think of another subject, I guess, to do more of that sort of rain-like effect with. The Megatron just kind of, like I said, I was just trying to test out some things. So first person I thought of was Megatron. There was that great, well-drawn scene that Guido did of Megatron in the rain from All Hell Megatron. So it was just the first thing that came to mind. Hey there, Clock Fox. Welcome aboard. Good to see you here again. And thank you very much. I think I'll put another one over here. Blur or drift? What does everybody think of that? Those were my first two comics, Spotlight Blur and Spotlight Drift. I'm always pleased when I see fan art of that particular Blur, or even in Cyberverse how they used that IDW Blur design, which I'm not taking credit for. I can't take credit for that design. That was all Guido. I kind of like made it my own a little bit, but he did the initial design for it. But I'm always pleased with how much people seem to like that. It was nice to see Blur get some love. Let's talk about Drift then. We talk about Blur's design. Drift went through a few changes during his IDW time. What do we like? What do you all like? Everybody will probably have a different opinion, but original Drift design that kind of shared the toy design, or something more like his Lost Light form, more than meets the eye. So I mentioned my white gel pen is no more, so I've got this Bic whiteout pen, which is nice for larger spaces, but obviously you can probably tell it's a little too wide for this, but there are ways around that, which we're going to use. Yeah, the shoulders were very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. They were cool, for lack of a better word. Frankendrift. You know, the one thing that got me about the first More Than Meets the Eye design for Drift, those shoulders, I couldn't quite make out exactly what was happening with them. It seemed like the shape was different on every panel I saw him in, so when it came time for me to draw it, I remember just kind of feeling like I don't know what to do there. So what I'm doing now is just adding some of those typical, kind of splits in the wall like you would see on Cybertronian stuff. And I'm just going straight up and down. Nothing too fancy in terms of, angles or whatever. I'm just imagining she is like flat against this wall. Just kind of pausing along where the cracks are. Obviously that's going to affect the wall there a little bit. And we'll scuff that up a little bit too and put some detail in there. So once that whiteout dries down below, we'll mess with that a little bit. So I'm going to put some angular splits in the wall. Again, kind of making it work for highlighting the character. Like just having this angle come down here. I mean, it's not like a huge thing or anything, but it's just working with the space, the open space that I have. There's no reason anything on this wall has to be a particular way, so I'm just making it work for the composition as best I can, and then I have a little bit of character going through this split right here. I guess I'll just carry that straight through. I have a couple of pieces going straight up from there. Yeah, I can definitely put this one up. Scanner, put her on Twitter. Be happy to share. So it's looking like this white is dry. So I'm just going to go back in with brush pen and just kind of thin these lines out. Like I said, ideally I'd be working with a thinner pen, but that is gone now. So just kind of making what I have work for me. And the good thing about like these explosions and cracks is, they're jagged, they're weird, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Just make it work for, the way I want it to work. Very good. Look forward to seeing it. I've been really enjoying seeing everybody's takes on the colors. I kind of feel like people might be getting sick of looking at the same old images from my initial post, which is one of the reasons I keep offering these up for colors. Because it's like the same old pictures of Optimus and Bumblebee and what else did I initially put up there? Megatron, RC. I don't know, there's a bunch of them. But I try to retweet all of them that I get, but part of me is like, people are going to be sick of just seeing these same pictures. But there's another part of me is just thinks they've just got to deal with it. Do you mean put up all of the colored versions or the line art? I should probably just make sure all the line art is sort of in the same place for people to access. Yeah, that's a good idea. So I think that fixed that up pretty well there. Not sure how it's coming across on the camera, but it's working. Would be a little better if I had my Uniball white there, but just ordered them yesterday, replacements from Jet Pens, so it'll be a while before they get here, I think. That's okay. Just keep going with a little detail on the wall here. Zombie Prowl, I haven't looked into that yet. I've seen a notification that I qualify for that, but I haven't taken the time to look into what that really, entails. So, I feel like the smart thing to do would be to look into it, so I probably will at some point, but I just haven't yet. And there's another level that I don't, partner is it? That I think I have 2 out of the 3 qualifications for it, but the third one is not, doesn't appear to be quite where I'm at, to put it honestly. So, but I think, eventually I'd like to look into that. Right now everything's in limbo with the way the world is, and how, some work that I usually have is not happening right now, and some of it is, and so, I'm trying to imagine what it'll be like once things go back to normal, if they go back to normal. But if I can maintain a decent amount of time to do streaming content, and there's enough interest, then sure, yeah. If there's an opportunity to run it more like a business, while still, I don't want to alienate anybody. I've had that thought too. Like I say, I don't know exactly the details of how it works, and I'm sure I can determine some of it, but I don't want to be like, having people feel like they need to pay for some content that they're not paying for now. But I've watched some of like Jim Lee's streams where, people that subscribe to him can be eligible to win certain pieces, and, maybe that's some kind of angle I could do at some point. But like I said, I don't want to just like suddenly start charging money for something that I'm doing for free now. It seems kind of weird, but who knows? Oh, I got family to keep keep fed, and a house over our heads, so we'll do what we gotta do. Alright, so I think I want to add a little bit of character to her, as if she's been through it a little bit, just some scratches and dents and things of that nature. And I think I'll just add a little bit of texture to her neck. I'm not going to do exactly the usual neck structure that I do, but I think adding a little bit of detail would be Good. I mean, it might be one of those things where I just kind of jump in with both feet and see how it goes. But I appreciate the info, the advice. Little details like around her monocle there. When you have a roundish piece, that can kind of make it look like a gradient, the little feathering there, if I'm even using the right term. That's what I call it. Watch point perks. Yeah, it sounds like I've got a lot to learn, which I definitely appreciate the heads up on any of this stuff. Just put a few scuff marks on the weapon. Sometimes I feel like, much like in the old 86 movie, Megatron reaching for that weapon, you know, characters have their signature weapons, but at the same time, there's got to be some that get kind of knocked around and misplaced and picked up. If this were really some kind of 4 million year war or whatever, guns are going to have a little bit of scuffing and scraping on them. Again, with the wall, I want to do like, just kind of add some grime and little extra cracks and stuff like that. And, you know, just random vent-like bits seem to just appear on these walls. I don't know what they do, but they just show up and add little bits of interest to an otherwise plain background. I'm just using my 005, the thinnest piece here to add this, because I don't want anything I'm doing right here to dominate the picture, so I'm just, you know, just using the thin one to add a little bit of peripheral detail. I've said before, anything that kind of like points to the foreground subject, I don't know, I kind of like to do that. All right, well, I'll definitely look into some of that stuff. Is there any perk-like things that are of interest to any of you that you've seen on other streams that you would like to see offered here. Channel exclusive emoticons, huh? I'll just add a little bit more of the white out down at the bottom here. This gets a nice thick line as long as you're pressing down on it. But if you don't press down, it runs out pretty quickly. Hey, Winston. So far, so good here. Hope you are too. Happy Friday. Maybe that'd be a good thing to look at this weekend. Very interesting. So, speaking of getting feedback from people that are viewing the stream, obviously you don't have anything set up yet, but somebody, when I inquired recently, said they'd like to see Jetfire in a future stream. I have put this out on Twitter in the past, but you know, I don't know how many of those people actually tune in and watch. But those of you who are here, what other characters would you like to see? Maybe something I haven't drawn before, either on here or something you might have never seen me draw before. would likely keep it Transformers, but you know, wouldn't rule out anything else. I had thought about trying to do some Marvel characters and you know, see what interest there is for that, or you know, what they might what kind of attention they might get on eBay or whatever. Slash Ultra Magnets, any of the Dinobots? Ultra Magnets, yeah. Magnus. Jackpot. I'm not sure what is Botanica from? It's ringing a bell, but I can't think of what that is right now. Ultra magnets, how do they work? Very good. Beast machines. I'll have to look her up. Botanica. Oh wow, that is different. Wild. Well, never say never. Maybe that'll happen on one of these, or maybe that would be a good thing for the quick head sketch stream. Still would like to do that at some point. Now I'm just doing a little bit of kind of mid-grade shading on some of the areas in between the shadow and the light. So anybody Anybody watch Cyberverse? These kind of 3 red dots up here. Do we know what they are? They appear to be. They appear to look the same as her monocle eye. Are they all eyes, or anybody know? It's a unique look. I like it. Just didn't know if there was anything more to it. Ah, that's what I was going to do. I'm going to do my little weird headlight texture that I like to put on headlights sometimes down here. Maybe a little more here. I feel like my eyes are gonna bug out of my head when I do this sometimes. It's so tiny. I don't even know if you can pick any of that up. Just adding a little texture and shadow to the headlight area. It's not even really worth doing on the other side there. Yeah, Jetfire would be fun. Ultra Magnus is a popular suggestion. I get a lot of commission requests for him, so I would say that's a good possibility. The thing about Magnus is he's so, even the Generation 1 model is so like detailed. And he's so large. It's like drawing Ultra Magnus is a task. Which isn't a bad thing necessarily. It's just you better get ready. You're going to be in for a long process. So a lot of times when I'm, choosing my own preference for who to draw, he's not my first choice, but he's popular enough that I think it would be probably a smart choice. I don't want to sound like I'm shying away from doing hard work or anything, but I try to keep these streams something that I can reasonably do, somewhat quickly and efficiently. And Magnus, I don't know, he's got a lot going on. It's not quite a Bayverse or a, Milne designed More Than Meets the Eye character, but I guess he kind of is. Although Nick did his More Than Meets the Eye design, didn't he? I'm looking at your Magnus now, Winston. Looks great. Looks pretty faithful to the G1 model, with a little creative flair. It looks awesome though. I like it. I like the grayscale as well as the color. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the Masterpiece Magnus looks great. Yeah, I've been trying to experiment with that a little bit myself. Definitely seems like it has a lot of potential to be like a really fun tool. Alright, I think I'll add a few more little strategic scuff marks on her here, but I think I'm going to call this pretty soon. I don't want to overdo it. She looks good, nice and clean for the most part. You know, you got to have a few scuff marks here, but I think I'm pretty satisfied with what she's looking like here. Yeah, I can't remember what I paid for Procreate, what the app costs, but for what you get out of it, it seems like an amazing value. $9.99, yeah, that's pretty damn good considering, you know, now if you want Photoshop, you gotta get the Creative Cloud, which you're gonna pay essentially $9.99 a month for the entire time you use it, right? Is that that's about what it is, right? Just gonna add a little realized I forgot to kind of add some dark spots up here on the all the little cracks and laser blast holes in the wall. Just kind of reiterates again where your shadow is coming from. Just hit that side of it. I think we're gonna call it here. We got a little over a half hour left that I'm gonna be streaming here, so to figure out what kind of fun stuff to occupy the time with. See, I'll throw in a little thank you very much. One of the things I'm really bad at is leaving room for my signature, but We'll get it in here between the cracks here. And let's do a good close-up look here. Should be nice and open to color for those who are into that sort of thing. I'll after the stream, probably after we walk the dog, I'll find time to scan her in and upload her to social media. Anybody who wants to color can feel free. So I'm just going to keep her there for a minute, I guess. Last time we did, I had extra time at the end of a stream. I did a head sketch of Skids. I actually wound up coincidentally pulling that out today because I had like a pile of probably over 50 different pens, pens and markers that I like. You know, they kind of were nearing the end of their life, so I would throw them in a pile and get a new one. And I wanted to go through them all and see what was what I might want to keep and what might need to go in the trash. So I just kind of inked that up with different markers and all these scribbles and whatnot to test out each one. I wound up probably throwing away about a quarter of them, but there were actually a bunch in there that were still pretty good. Alright, let's see. Clock Fox, halfway through the Optimus piece. After the first one came out so well, I was like, I want to do it again. I want to go again. Nice. Well, I hope to see more. What's the bot besides Jazz you think I can draw really fast or enjoy to draw the most? Good question. Let me grab a piece of paper here. Most of the ones I'm really fast at drawing are the originals, the old school G1 characters. Let's do a Starscream. Trailbreaker. Trailbreaker is kind of like the forgotten Autobot, isn't he? Like, he doesn't, you know, he had a significant supporting role in Lost Light, more than meets the eye, but he's not like one of the bots that you first think of when you think of G1, is he? Not in my heart. Is he making his force field face? Sorry, I'm going to adjust the camera real quick here. Just want to get a smaller paper here, and I want to be able to see what I'm doing a little better. One thing I discovered when I was doing the Optimus picture, which I started from scratch, the one from last week, I discovered that, you know, inking, the focus turns out all right when I'm inking something on camera, but the focus kind of seems to go in and out when I'm doing pencils. Anyway, so let's do a quick Starscream head here. So I'm just kind of, you know, I got the somewhat 3/4 view there, mostly front facing, just kind of lightly mark in where the eyes were going to be, where the nose are going to be, where the mouth is going to be. Obviously he's going to have a nasty smirk on his face. Omega Supreme or Devastator. Interesting. Power Glide. That's a good one. Power Glide is underappreciated too, isn't he? I feel like, you know, season 2 era, he got a lot of screen time, but then he's sort of been forgotten about since, hasn't he? And of course, there's Power Glide's girlfriend. Who can forget that? Starscream's got this really weird helmet shape where, like, the side pieces actually come above the middle piece. Which I can never quite get used to, like, visually. For some reason it just always seems a little awkward to me, but I've drawn them enough times that I can do it easily enough. It just, something about it, it's just kind of weird. Anyway, just kind of marking his cheekbones here down to his little chin. And he's got the old traditional cheek guard things. And of course, probably the most iconic Seeker head trait are those vents on the side of the head. So I'm just kind of blocking in the general shapes, seeing what's looking right, seeing what's looking wrong. Huh, interesting design, OW. I actually found Starscream's story arc to be, like, super entertaining. I can see what you're saying, that him ruling Cybertron might have gone a little bit long, but I loved his story arc when in early Robots in Disguise, when you know, you were really trying to figure out if he was turning over a new leaf, and of course he wasn't, right? Right? But then, you know, him and Metal Hawk seem to be like friends or whatever, but of course they're not really friends, are they? And then you'd kind of keep doubting yourself. Anyway, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the climactic moment, which I don't know if I want to spoil for anybody who hasn't read it yet, so I won't, but I really liked how that was done. Alright, so he's got to have the evil eyes, right? Starscream's kind of that look. The one I always think of is right when he's about to toss Megatron out of Astro Train in the movie. That kind of just nasty, sneaky grin on his face. Want to bet? Tosses Megatron out with the trash. Yep, I want to bet face. And traditionally, Starscream doesn't have the little chin thing like that. Sometimes I throw that in, sometimes I won't. I think I'll leave it off for now. It's my trashing face. Thank you. Yeah, I always like to emphasize those cheekbones. I guess, you know, artists tend to have their trademark things. That's, if it's a character with a face, most likely they're going to have somewhat pronounced cheekbones if I draw them. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see if we can ink him in real quick. I'm just going to go right in with the extra fine brush pen, which Jet Pens was out of stock on. That was a sad moment. But I digress. I found it available in some other spots, but I just put a restock notice on it, and I ordered the extra fine Zebra instead. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Winston. Have a good weekend. You don't want to see him for a while? Are you going to share Trailbreaker? Post him online? Well, don't cry, Clock Foxed. Thank you, though. get that other eye in. Just the slightest bit squinty. I think I'll actually use, I was going to just freehand this, but I think I'll use the straight edge on the ear vents just to be easier. Get them straight, feel good about them. I'm going to have the interior here fall in shadow there, that'll be all shadow. Still got to work a little bit on my camera setup one of these days because it's like right in front of my face, right above the artwork. So I'm kind of like having to look around my phone to see what I'm drawing. But so far it's worked out okay, so not a desperate need. Huh. Yeah, wrong kind of bot is right. Yeah, you know, Starscream's voice changed during those flashback scenes. You know, he was like, it was much quieter and more reserved when he was talking about his past on Cybertron with Skyfire, aka Jetfire. It's stuff like that that kind of made, really kind of made G1 for me. Like, I don't know, it was a big toy commercial, but they gave it enough life, enough personality that it was more than that. It wasn't just a toy commercial. It was a really well done toy commercial. So we're kind of running off the page a little bit with that back part. I think we can get it all in there. I mean, I'm obviously biased, and I think we all probably are in here, but Starscream, I think, is just like an all-time great fictional character. I mean, he's pretty much got it all in terms of like, it's a nice look to the character, the jet alt mode. The voice acting was tremendous. I don't know, he's just an all-around great, oops, I'm off camera there, great character. I'll just run in with a thinner pen and add some of these thinner lines here. Figure I'll just freehand in the vents real quick here. Do I have a favorite among the other Seekers? I think I've always had a soft spot for Dirge. You haven't seen him much, but you know, just going back to being a kid, he was like, for a while, he was the only toy I had. I did get Thundercracker eventually. I never had Starscream as a kid, which is, you know, probably the one everybody wanted. Never had Skywarp. I did end up getting, I think, the other Coneheads as a kid. I don't know if I ever owned Ramjet, actually. But I definitely owned Dirge, and so, you know, just for that reason, I have a bit of a soft spot there. But, you know, he didn't really get much in terms of development, other than his brief little moment in the spotlight in RID. But, you know, I guess number one would be Starscream if I had to pick a favorite Seeker. But, yeah, besides him, I love how Thundercracker was handled in IDW. But, yeah, nobody that's like, you know, the Jazz or Optimus or a character that I'm borderline obsessed with. Just adding a little bit of black on the exposed side there. Wrong one. There we go. Maybe I'll do some of this because that's kind of fun. Do a little shine up top there. I'll make the whole side here in darkness. Just add that little shine there and over here as well. Spotlight Ramjet, that's way back. That's like early IDW. My good friend Robbie drew that one. I think, was it Burcham who colored it too? Yeah, it's not one to take too seriously. Well, speaking of alt modes earlier, there were some great panels of Ramjet and Skywarp, I think it was, just flying through the sky. For like the first couple of pages, they were just basically having a conversation as they were flying over wherever it is they were. I don't remember where it actually took place, but those were some cool panels, I do remember. I want to cut that cheek in just a little bit more, thin out his face a little bit. I'm going to add a little cast shadow over here also. Thank you, Clock Fox. Just add a few little touches with the thin 005 here. So we're almost at 3 o'clock there, so I'll just take this a little bit further and then call it. Who is Lady Mega? Do I want to ask what that is? Who that is? Oh, that's a Master Force reference, isn't it? Left boob of Overlord. Lovely. That's right, he's a double Power Master. So add that sort of double line in there. Thank you, Namish Name. Okay, Handsome Wretch, have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you next time. All right, Design OW, you too, have a great weekend. It is just about that time. I'll be signing off in a few minutes. But this was fun, a little bonus Starscream here. So I'll come back on, try to do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. Like I said, until things change, that should be good timing. I might try, if it works out for my family, I might try a later stream on Monday, more like the 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time slot. Maybe not though. We'll see. We'll see how it all works out. But yeah, I think we're good here. Let's take one last look at Shadow Striker here. Starscream. We got Shadow Striker. Not bad for a Friday stream. So yeah, thank you guys very much. I really appreciate you spending the time. It's been really nice getting to know some of you. And I will look into what you all suggested to me. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I hope everybody has a terrific weekend, and everybody stays safe and healthy, and hopefully I'll see you next week. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.